How you doing? We're here today to discuss the DOT exterior walk around, so everybody knows what they're looking for and where we're going to go, and talk about some safety issues. And we'll start at the rear of the truck. All right, we're going to start with our tires on the rear of the vehicle. This is the outside tire, outside face. You're going to check the tire for any damages, gouges. Physically touch it, look around the tire, check the tread on the outside tire, check the back of the front tire, make sure it's good, there's no gouges, make sure there's no debris, rocks stuck in between the dual tires. Check your face of your back tire, make sure there's no damage to that. Check your tread of the back tire, and check the back of the inside tire. Once you check your tires, they're in good shape, you want to go down to your rim. You check the rim for any damages, any bends. You're going to check the axle seal. The axle seal here has bolts around it. You want to make sure the bolts are tight. No leaking from the seal. Any gear oil. Check your lug nuts. Every lug nut you have to touch. Make sure they're not loose. Looking for any rust or shininess around the lug nuts, indicating a lug nut is loose. Making sure your valve stem is secured and is not leaking. You have to have a approved valve stem cap on it as well. And now we're going to move on to the suspension. All right, we're going to check our suspension parts. We're going to start with the leaf spring carrier. Check it, make sure it's secured. There's no cracks, illegal welds. Checking the spring to make sure there's no broken or separated leaf springs. Going back to the U-bolts. The U-bolts that hold the axle to the spring and the spring perch. Make sure everything's aligned, not misaligned. The U-bolts are in good condition. Bolts are tight. Coming back to the shock absorber here. Make sure it's not leaking and secured. Further back is our airbag, because it's an airbag suspension on this. It's inflated, no audible leaks, and appears to be in good working order. Next, we're going to go to our air brake system. Next, we're going to move on to the air brakes. You got your spring air brake can here, making sure it's in good working order. It's secured, no audible leaks. Going to check your slack adjuster. The slack adjuster on the rear of this needs to be checked when the parking brake is off. When it's off, DOT says you shall not have no more than 1 inch of play. If you have more than 1 inch of play, several things could be wrong. It could be out of adjustment and or something worn out in the brake system. It needs to be looked at by a certified mechanic. So you just reach down, you grab it, pull it. If it's more than 1 inch, you'll notify a mechanic, note it on your DOT book. Off the slack adjuster is your S-cam. It goes into your brake system. That extends your brake drums, presses against the brake shoes, presses against the brake drum, and slows the vehicle and stops it. Inspecting the brake drum, looking for any cracks or any debris in it. Our brake drum is in good condition here. Looking at the brake pads are required to have more than 1/4 of an inch of pad on it. These brake pads are in good condition. Moving up, we're going to look at the chassis and further up towards the cab. Moving up to our hydraulic system. It's a hydraulic reservoir. This is the hydraulic valve for raising and lowering the dump body. We're checking the hoses, making sure they're not rusted, not leaking, good condition. It's got a vented cap for the reservoir that's secured. Looking at the overall condition, making sure it's tight, not loose, falling off, and there is no leaks. Moving up to the battery box here, unsecure it with the rubber latch, picking the battery cover up, checking the batteries, making sure the batteries are secured. All wires are secured, clean, no corrosion. Put the battery box back in place. Relatch it, making sure your latches are in good condition. Battery box is secure. Now we're going to move up to the fuel tank. This is the fuel tank here. I'm going to check, you got a non-vented cap. Make sure it's tight. Make sure the tank's not leaking and secured. You got your steps. Make sure they're secured, not loose. You got your gas tank straps here and here with rubber in between them and the tank. Making sure everything's secured, no leaks. Now from here we're going to move up to the DEF fluid reservoir. Now we're going to be moving up to the DEF fluid tank. Not all trucks have them, newer trucks do. Make sure your cap's secured, tight. Checking, making sure the tank's not leaking and is secure to the vehicle. Now we're going to move up to the driver's door. We're going to open it, check it, close, make sure it's latches correctly. We're going to move up to the mirror on the door, shake the mirror, make sure it's secured. None of the glass in the mirror is broken. At this point, we're going to move up to the front of the vehicle. Now we're going to move up and we're going to start with our front tire. Again, checking the face of the tire, making sure there's no gouges, bubbles. It's your front steer tire. Checking the overall tire of the tire tread. All right, we're going to check our tire depth with a tire depth gauge. Set it down. Tire's in good, has plenty of tread. The tire has a minimum of 430 seconds. 430 seconds, the tire should be replaced at that point. Coming down, checking the rim, making sure there's no gouges, cracks in the rim. We're going to look at the front lug nuts, make sure they're tight. No rust around it and or shininess, which would indicate a loose rim, loose lug nut on the rim. Checking your hub seal. This has a hub seal in the front. This piece here is clear so you can see the fluid in it. You pop the cap off, you should be able to see it, and there'll be fluid on your finger when you check it, which means it's properly filled. Put your rubber cap back on. Now we're going to move up to the steering components and the suspension on the back side of the tire. So we're going to come into our steering components. We've got the steering shaft coming out of the cab, making sure it's secured, no play. Checking the steering universal going into the steering box, no excessive play. It's greased right. Steering box, making sure the steering box is secured to the chassis and does not have any leaks. Coming down to our pitman arm, drag link. So you got your pitman arm and your drag link. Checking, making sure it's secured, there's no play. Checking the steering knuckle, making sure it's secured, there's no play in it, properly greased. The tie rod is as well as secured, no extra play, in good working order. Now moving on to the air brakes. So now we're going to go into our air brakes on the front of the vehicle. We have our air can, making sure there's no audible leaks and it's secured. Checking the air line that's supplying air to the air can. No audible leaks, good conditions, no frays, breaks, or cracks. Moving on to the slack adjuster in the front. Pulling on it, making sure there's no more than 1 inch of play. Checking the inside of the brake drum, looking at their brake pads. All in good condition, no cracks, no breaks. Brake pads have more than 1/4 inch of pad on it. Brakes are in good condition. Next, we're going to go to the suspension. Now we're going to move on to the suspension of the truck, the front suspension. Checking the front leaf spring perch, making sure it's in good condition. Checking the leaf spring, making sure there's no cracks or breaks, making sure they're not separated and spinning. Checking the U-bolts, making sure they're secured. Looking further back, checking the shackle on the back side of the spring. making sure the bolts are in good condition. It's greased. Coming up, checking the shock absorber, making sure it's secured, not leaking, and in good working order. Now we're going to talk about the engine compartment. Inside the engine compartment, we have the antifreeze overflow tank, which has maximum and add max. We're in operating levels. Coming off that, you have our intake hose on this side of the vehicle going into the intake of the engine. You got your fan shroud in here, and your fan blades. Checking your fan to make sure that there's no breaks, missing parts, pieces. Checking your air lines, making sure there's no audible leaks, no breaks, frays, abrasions. Electrical connections are all secured, nothing's loose. Checking your oil, making sure it's properly filled. And from here we're going to go to the other side of the engine compartment. On this side of the vehicle, in the engine compartment, we have the air cleaner, which is secured. Coming in deeper, we have our intercooler turbo line, which is secured. No breaks, frays, or breaks. Coming in, we got our antifreeze coolant line going to the radiator. Secured, not broken, not leaking. Our fan belt is secured, no cracks, breaks, or frays. Good working order. Inside the fender well, we have our windshield washer fluid. From here, we're going to check the tire as we did on the other side. Move on, check the door as well like we did on the other side, and move to the back of the truck. Here we got our storage box. We want to make sure it's secured, not falling off, not broken. You open up the box, and it has our storage for our oil, windshield washer fluid, and other things you would need for this vehicle. Going on from here, we're going to go to the back of the truck, talk about the back. We're going to start at the back of the truck right now. We're going to work the bottom up. We're going to check our trailer hitch, make sure it's secured and it's working properly. Check our trailer lights. Check our lights, make sure the lights are working properly. Making sure the license plate's secured. Checking the mud flaps. Coming up, making sure the dogs on the tailgate are closed, that the tailgate's secure. Checking the chutes, make sure the door's working and closed correctly. Checking the tailgate locks, making sure they work properly and they move freely. So pinch point would be your hands being anywhere around the tailgate. Keep your hands clear. And on the front of the truck, we're going to check the headlights and directionals to make sure they're working, proper order, that the lenses are cleared, the hood is shut and secured so it doesn't come up on you when you stop.